social platforms, and most of them are my name at Sandra Colton-Medici. This one on YouTube is called at College of Style. But the one on TikTok had a video go viral. Now, when I say viral, a lot of times people are like, what does viral really mean? A lot of times viral for some people is like 16 views, 25 views, 100 views, right? And that's what it's like for me too. Generally, I'm like, yes, oh my gosh, we hit 1,000. Wow. Okay, let's keep going, right? This one has, I think at this point, 2.7 million views. And for me, that's like my gold star of actually having gone viral in my life. So if you are somebody who is trying to do social media and have it be effective for you, obviously don't worry about the metrics because it's going to come and go. But if you ever do like have that moment of maybe 100, 200, 1,000, or even a million, celebrate your wins. Just make sure you celebrate them for you because other people might just, be in passing. They might not even see how much you're winning. You need to celebrate those wins for you. So that's the message that I have for you this morning. I am really kind of like doing the headline watch, thinking about the policies that are happening. And the video that went viral for me, I actually posted here on YouTube, and it's of me clapping and talking about Kamala Harris coming back. And I posted a longer video here on YouTube because I had some thoughts about her strategy and what I think she's actually doing, and whether or not I think that it could potentially lead to something else. And if you're just joining me on YouTube Live, thank you so much. And don't forget, while you're here, to subscribe because sometimes people see me on the live stream and they are not already subscribed. So definitely subscribe so that next time I'm live, it actually notifies you. So the thing about the strategic moves that I think she is making, she kind of faded away from public life for a very long time, which rightfully so. She went through a campaign. She did not win at the ballot box. And then Christmas happened, New Year happened, the inauguration happened, all those things. And then she moved to New York, right? Hey, Vivian, how are you? And she was doing her thing. We saw her out at Broadway shows. We saw her with her husband. I believe we saw her in an Instagram post, I think on Easter or something like this. And then she made her speech the other night to the Emerge America audience. It was like a gala. How are you guys? I see you guys coming in. Definitely don't forget to subscribe. And if you have a chance, share this out to your friends, family, colleagues, all of your social media. I would love it. Bring more people into the conversation. Let me know in the chat where you're logging in from, because I absolutely love to know if we have gone global, how local we are or how global we've gotten today. So her strategy in one of my videos, I was talking about how she shouted out AOC, Cory Booker, who else? Bernie Sanders, Jasmine Crockett, Chris Murphy, a few other people. And I think that was very strategic on her part to do so. Whether or not she's going to collaborate at some point or just, wanted to say, hey, recognize these people because they are filling the void where there is no sort of Democratic leadership happening. Now, they did elect a new sort of Democratic chair for the Democratic National Committee, which obviously that needs to be steered in the right direction if they're actually going to raise money to help some of these candidates in districts where potentially they could be primaried, or districts where they could overtake the Republicans. Like, there are a lot of things that need to happen with that Democratic National Committee in order to make it run effectively and actually get people back to the donating habits of what they were doing when Kamala was running. Because she raised a significant amount of money in a very short period of time because people believed. Okay, they believed in what she was trying to do. And now a lot of people are like, we don't know what you are going to do with our money, right? They want to know, where is our money going to go if we donate to the Democrats this time? And they're actually looking at AOC or Bernie Sanders and independent people who don't have sort of these big corporate ties. And I say AOC more than Bernie Sanders because he's been around the business for a long time. He knows where he can kind of wiggle room of where the money is coming from. But when it comes to not having those sort of big business ties, AOC is probably the candidate that I think has kind of proven that she doesn't have the stocks that a lot of people that have been in Congress have, and all those things. And she looks like a much better candidate that doesn't, that has been fighting the good fight for a while. Okay. Now, is she that top tier candidate? You'll have to put it in your comments here. Would you vote for AOC over Kamala? Or would you try to go with somebody who has actually had that sort of donation and backing where she was like almost $1 billion that she raised, like a shit ton of money. Kiwi, how are you? Thank you for putting that in the comments. I appreciate that. Thank you for saying hi. But put in the comments, would you vote for AOC over Kamala? Because I've had a lot of people in my comments in different social media posts talking about how they would vote for Kamala again and again and again. And I'm not quite sure if they would vote for AOC over her. So definitely leave a comment. I'm curious to see if you would flip your vote to AOC over Kamala. Very curious. It's an interesting time. I actually think that if Pete Buttigieg were running for president, I feel like I would vote for him over AOC if it was just him and AOC running. If it was Buttigieg and Kamala together, it's over. It's over, right? Pete Buttigieg with anybody is such a winning combination to me. I just feel like, the math would math at that point. And I think people would throw money at anybody who's running with Pete Buttigieg only because he's so smart. And somehow he cuts through on the Republican sort of message in a way that I haven't seen a lot of people do before. I feel like Gavin Newsom is trying to do that, but he doesn't have the sort of finesse. He's got a finesse, but he doesn't have the kind of finesse that Pete Buttigieg has when he goes on Fox News or when he goes on some sort of right-leaning program. Pete Buttigieg almost sits there and is just like, he's not one of them, so to speak, like a right-leaning sort of MAGA type of person, but he can kind of chill in the cut. Does that make sense to you guys? Phoenix says, AOC or Kamala? Goodness, that's a tough choice. I know, obviously they would never run together. It just could not happen. Like, there's no way that they're a 2 female ticket. We would never win. Like, it would be too much for any one person who is like super like on the, I would say on the side of we have to have a man in charge. That side of people would never let 2 women run the country. It's unfortunate, but I actually think we get a lot of shit done. Vivian said, I did see something going on with AOC. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure if she's doing something or not. Vivian says Kamala and Corey would be interesting. But would Corey be the nominee and Kamala be the vice president again, like in that role? I'm not sure. There are some headlines this morning that I wanted to talk to you guys about because they're disturbing as always, but let's talk about them. A massive tariff on millions of Americans' purchases just went into effect. Cue the chaos. Now, this is from CNN Business. And if you haven't heard about this, this is really about Temu and Shein and other different websites that you might actually get your products from. Tell me in the comments, do you shop on Temu? Yes, right, Temu. Do you shop on Shein? A lot of people have very differing opinions about these sites and apparently like sustainability issues, where all this sort of extra product goes that doesn't sell. If you have a chance while we're talking, like this live stream so that we can send it out to different people and we can have the conversation keep going in the chat. Temu sometimes, says Vivian. I have never shopped on Temu. I downloaded it, but I never purchased anything. Would you shop on Temu over TikTok Shop? Or would you shop on Shein over an Amazon? I'm very curious how you kind of decide. Like, Wayfair kind of came up on Amazon for a while. Like, they were like, a lot of people were buying from IKEA, and then Wayfair came along. They were like, Wayfair's got some good furniture. So tell me sort of your shopping habits. Is it Amazon all day? Is it Temu over Amazon? Is it Shein over the Zaras and the H&Ms of the world? I'm curious about your shopping habits because I've never actually shopped on Temu. But this right here, let me see if I don't know if I screenshot it. Yes, this is the reason why it's going to get more expensive. So it says major shipping loophole that we used to have had expired midnight on Friday. It's called the de minimis exemption, as it's known, allowed shipments of goods worth $800 or less to come into the US duty free. Now, that's the reason why those goods from Temu and Shein, because most of the stuff that you buy on those particular sites is less than $800. And there was this loophole that allowed people to purchase on those sites and not pay that duty, okay? Not pay the duty coming in. So every single product that went through that sort of loophole no longer has that loophole. And that's why a lot of people are freaking out because, like they said in that headline, the chaos has started. Let me see, Kiki says, never shopped on either. It was a matter of principle. Fast fashion has always felt distasteful to me. That's what I was saying earlier. Some people talking about sustainability, where does that excess go, right? I personally have never shopped on there just because I haven't really found, like, when I've been shopping, like if you go on Google and you're like, Google, black dress or whatever, and you see all the items, when I click on whatever it is that I've been shopping for, it hasn't taken me to like the Temu site. And so I did download it just to see if I could like get into there because I was looking at, I don't know what I was looking at that day. But I got distracted. And I never went back. So a lot of people have found Temu and Shein very, very helpful when they're finding different sort of products or even shopping for fashion. But then the sustainability issue has come in for a lot of people, whether, the excess, the sort of every single day, there's like 500 more garments. Like, where's all that excess going when it doesn't sell? And when it doesn't sell, is it ending up in some sort of, third world country? Is it going to a landfill somewhere? Are they trying to burn it all down instead of actually donating the fashion somewhere and having it go through this sort of sustainability cycle of like secondhand stores, thrifting, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Phoenix says, I like Temu and Shein for stuff other than clothing. Tell me what you've bought on Shein because I'm very curious as to if you look at that price now, how much different it is today versus when you bought it, because apparently those prices are shifting. So that's one of the big announcements this morning is look at your wallet when you are shopping on these sites now, because it's gonna look different. All right, this is another thing that a lot of people are worried about, especially with the Trump administration, which is Trump turns civil rights upside down in biggest rollback since Reconstruction. If you're watching that sort of cabinet meeting, there's a lot of things like this, which is him saying separating church and state is out, according to Donald Trump. This is not acceptable, and it's not something that we should be like, oh, he's just doing something. No, he's doing some bad things in this way. Exposing anti-Christian bias and being anti-woke is in. Okay, so when people talk about wokeness and being, we are so anti-woke, a lot of times people just don't understand that if you are having this sort of wokeness, you are aware of what's going on and you are understanding and have empathy for a lot of other people. It's not what people have sort of hijacked this word to be. Let me go in and let you know. It says the Department of Justice Division created the landmark 1957 Civil Rights Act to defend defend Americans' rights. Has a new mission, rooting out anti-Christian bias, anti-Semitism, and woke ideology. Okay, now obviously we have always not wanted to have this sort of bias, which is why a lot of people have been saying, like, we need to do everything for everyone. It shouldn't just benefit one group of people. And of course, anti-Semitism is important. We don't want to be harassing religious groups. Absolutely. We do not want hate crimes. We do not want all of that. But we have those laws already on the books. we do. If you're just joining me, because I just saw a lot of people just joining, definitely like this, like the live stream, subscribe to my channel, just so that as I do live streams, they let you know when we come back on the YouTube live. This is a big deal. If you're not paying attention to it, they were talking about this at the cabinet meeting yesterday. Quote, "We're not organizing money based on the color of skin. Okay, if you have DEI policies, we're not going to fund your projects." Okay, now a lot of times when they have these sort of sentiments, when they're just like banging the table with these sorts of statements, it's all for show. Yeah, it's all for show, because a lot of what they're trying to sort of roll back is going to end up in the courts. And a lot of private companies can do what they will with their businesses. That's why I've been talking about in some of those board meetings. They've been trying to get, the Heritage Foundation has put up some sort of like votes for these board members to vote on, like rolling back DEI policies. And Apple and a lot of other people, Costco, they've been saying no. So it's not just them banging on the table and things magically happening. Private businesses have the opportunity to hold their own vision, hold their own values, obviously not promoting harassment or hate against particular religious groups, which they're not doing anyways, but just running their businesses the way that they would like to. Let me see here. Vivian says, "Yep, for me too. Some things for decoration." You know what? If you're on Temu and Shein and you find some sort of decoration that you thought was cute yesterday, go back and check the price and let me know in the comments if you find a difference in price, because I'm curious as to how much of a price difference it's going to be. This is just a little bit more from that article. It says, "While Trump's government is retreating from any effort by the federal government to pursue racial justice, it is leaning hard into ending what is seen as anti-Christian bias. There is a task force helmed by Pam Bondi focused on eradicating anti-Christian bias, and the government held its first meeting this week." I would say that we are deporting people who are U.S. citizens at this point, and eradicating anti-Christian bias basically is one step into making kids read the Bible in school. Like that's where this is going. That's in my opinion, though. Let's talk about this one. It's really big headline this morning. It's also what a lot of people are saying is unlawful. President Trump signs orders seeking to end federal funding for NPR and PBS. This one has been in the news recently. A lot of people have been talking about this, partially because he does not control the power of the purse. So his signing on the dotted line with his Sharpie, whatever, does not take away the funding from these two organizations. The other part of this is, yes, they do get a significant amount of public money to fund their programming, which they have been attacked for, like Drag Queen Reading Hour or something like this, and Sesame Street and all of the things, which most of the people during those hearings didn't even know what was on those programs. But besides that, it's like they have never watched Mrs. Doubtfire. Like read a story, because that's basically what's going on. But besides that, a lot of the funding that goes for NPR and PBS is outside money. So now, while no one wants to take away funding from these organizations, especially PBS, there are outside organizations that do support these organizations. And for him to go like this and say, "We're taking away your money," it has to go through Congress. So be mindful every time you see him break out a Sharpie and do his thing. He actually is more than likely, I'm going to say more than likely, is signing something that he can't actually do. That this headline kind of shows you that. Seeking to end, right? Signs an order seeking to end. If you order something, it should be done. You shouldn't order to seek. Okay, so his executive orders, more or less, a lot of them are unlawful. And those will have to be done with the Congress to take back that money. Now, I'm not saying that they won't, because clearly they have a very slim majority, which is why a lot of people are focused on winning back the House, because we need to stop that right in its tracks. And then the other is that even if they do I'm thinking that a lot of these two organizations will survive, survive in spite of Donald Trump, because you can't tell people what they can watch, right? You can't just. I mean, I guess they could take them off the air, essentially, but even with radio stations like that, we ended up with internet radio. You ended up with like Sirius FM. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot of things that they can do, but I don't think these two organizations are going away. Jason says, "You got no chance." I got no chance. I got chances. I'm a lucky girl. Let's knock on wood, Jason. Everything's possible these days. Like, if you told me that last Christmas we would all be looking up at the sky for like orbs and drones, tell me there's no chance of that. Because we were all in a whole other haze. Let's go on to this one. The latest on Trump's presidency amid cabinet shakeup and tariff uncertainty. Did you see this one? Marco Rubio ascends in Trump's orbit. And this is because Mike Waltz has been reassigned. Okay, so yesterday, the big headline was all about Mike Waltz and Alex Wong, his sort of next rung down, ousted from being part of this national security team, okay, for Pete Hegseth. After Signalgate, everybody on Donald Trump's team, from Caroline Leavitt to Donald Trump himself, was, it's nothing. That Biden was on Signal, right? And then yesterday, I think it was Reuters. Reuters was like, we have a picture of Mike Waltz on Signal on his phone during the cabinet meeting. Like, are we not learning our lessons? We are just not learning our lessons at all. But you know what? Marco Rubio, which they I think he called him Little Marco Rubio. Little Marco Rubio is becoming a big boy. He is definitely going up the ladder. Now, he's also, with as much as he's gaining, he has a lot to lose, just because anyone that Donald Trump is promoting, you have been promoted, can fall from grace. And I was talking about this with somebody yesterday, that like, he is probably the only Secretary of State that has done reconnaissance on prisons. Like, literally gone through probably an El Salvadorian prison and been like, this'll do. Like, what? This man, he was on the couch during the Zelensky meeting like this, just like sinking. And now he's taking over more responsibility. It's impressive. It is impressive. Grants Skate, I think is how you say that. That's very clever. Tell me if you are a skater, because I'm curious. I live in LA. Now, I do not oppose people putting their political affiliations in the comments, because I think that is great for discourse, especially if you're telling me that God loves everybody. Thank you. How are you thinking about the conclave right now? Okay, so just because you said God loves everybody, I am curious who will become the next pope. If you have a particular preference, leave it in the comments, because they're going through the conclave right now. And if you haven't, I've been saying this before, if you haven't like heard anything about how the conclave works, there was a movie that was up for an Oscar, I believe last year. It's a very good movie. Now, it's dramatized, but it is actually pretty informative of how the conclave actually works. Vivian says they start on May 7th. Let the smoke begin. I'm fascinated by that process because it's so secretive. This is another level though for Marco Rubio. I don't know how he fares, because he has exceedingly more and more responsibility. And also with that responsibility from Donald Trump comes more blame if something goes wrong. You can't win if you're part of his administration, because you are there because he's able to toy with your future. So I don't know how it'll go, but this is the end of our live stream today, ladies and gentlemen. It's been fun. I really, really hope that you come back next week. I do Monday through Friday, YouTube Live in the mornings, and join my Substack. It's the Substack link is in the description. I do Monday through Fridays live on Substack in the evening. So kind of like a morning roundup and an evening chat. little fireside chat. I hope you have a really good rest of your day. I think today is May 2nd. So we've got the 3rd and the 4th for Saturday and Sunday, which means Monday is Cinco de Mayo. So I will see you on Cinco de Mayo. Have a really great day, you guys.